Did I?
I think you moved a little bit. I think it needs to go probably more to you, right?
There's some episodes where you're like so far. It's weird. Like I feel like I'm centered.
Oh, right. Okay.
I don't think it's the way you sit.
Oh, yeah,
sometimes.
maybe this.
Is that? I think it's literally perfect.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I zoom out a little bit. I think, like tiny little bit. Okay. Yeah.
Are we on the record? You got it on?
Yeah, everything's recording. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, welcome to another episode of Broken by Concept, episode 11. Sorry for the abrupt ending of the last one.
Oh, that's right. It was a bit of a
Make
mix-up.
sure there's no more.
We'll answer more questions this time.
Yeah, we'll do more questions to make up for our abrupt ending. But
my incompetence.
So, as you may have noticed, me and Nathan haven't had a haircut in a while
Yeah.
because of COVID lockdown.
What do you think of my beard so far, Curtis?
The YouTube comments, they seem to like it, right?
Yeah, I know, but now it's actually starting to
Yeah,
grow.
actually, genuinely starting to look like a beard now. You were telling me you just wanted to keep it short, right? You didn't want to.
Well, I don't
grow it
know
out.
yet. I'm figuring it out slowly.
I think it looks good.
It's like this part's like the mustache is like annoying sometimes.
Yeah, it takes time to
You
get
know?
used to. Because you got to make sure it doesn't go over your lip. You got to like trim it.
Okay, yeah. I need to get.
Yeah,
like,
because
a
yours
trim
is going
kit.
over your lip a little bit there.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to trim that with scissors.
Okay, so I need like a proper kit, right?
Yeah, get a kit. I got mine off like.
I'll just buy the exact same one you got. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it off eBay for like $70.
Okay.
So $60.
That's pretty good. I can deal with that, and it has everything in it.
Yeah, it has scissors, combs,
Electric shaver thing.
like beard trimmer, and a head shaver thing. Everything.
Yeah, because mine's starting to like things are starting to poke out. You know.
Yeah. It's all good, dude. But so yeah, anyway, we've actually restrictions have been eased a bit where we live, so we can actually go get a haircut and not look like.
We just got to blow everyone away, by the way, because a lot of people from America and Europe, okay?
They don't even realize how hardcore our restrictions have been.
When we have like no cases, you know, it's like
we got 2 cases yesterday, right?
we like peaked at what 500. We like peaked
we
at
had
500
I thought we had like 750 or something
in a day.
I don't know.
No,
in a day. I was saying
in
total.
a day. Oh, total. No, I think total
Oh.
we peaked at like 1,000 or 2.
So how many cases a day did we peak at in Melbourne?
I think it was like 300 or 400. I think.
Right,
Yeah.
and now it's all the way. Well, we had
2.
2 days ago it was 1.
Yeah.
And then it was 2 yesterday. So yeah, we're really
And we've been literally hardcore lockdown. Like
for so long. Dude, I can't even remember what it was like to live a normal life. Like we haven't. To put it in perspective, my family doesn't even live that far away from me. Right, my family lives, I would say, 20-minute drive from me. I haven't been able to see my family in like 2 or 3 months,
yeah.
and they only live 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So because we weren't allowed out at all.
Past 5 kilometers.
No, it wasn't even that. It was before that. It was nothing.
That was the hardcore lockdown.
There was nothing, and then it was 5 kilometer
Yeah.
radius, and then before that,
It's been 5 kilometers for like 3 months, right?
I think it was like 1 or 2 months. I thought it was only 1.
Dude,
or
it
2
feels like
months.
it's just been the whole year.
Anyway,
So yeah, hairdressers.
so
were
hairdressers,
closed.
literally hairdressers were closed. Nothing was open. You couldn't even exercise more than 2 k's away from your home or something.
We're literally a dictatorship, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what they'll call our premier, dictator
Yeah, our
Dan.
premier of our state was getting absolutely obliterated, like roasted by the.
Dictator Dan.
No, but I think I mean,
Like, what do you reckon? Like, it's been too long, man. And
it has been too long.
The
now.
fact that they're
the
like
economy's absolutely just
slowly
fucked.
easing. That's like it's like, come on, man. Like, you know, I understand you want to slowly ease back into it. Meanwhile, we got America.
America's just out
Literally,
of
everyone's
control.
just chilling. It's like, oh, here's like 20.
I just view, you know what I think of America? I think of like that movie 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
Or like I Am Legend. It's
Yeah.
like, it's just like this is nothing. Everyone's like turned into zombies. Shit.
It's just literally it's like just danger zone.
Yeah, everyone. I saw this funny as meme on Facebook. It was like this guy in America, like at like a bar or something, interviewing people, and this girl's like, he was interviewing this girl, and her voice was like all messed up, and then she said, "Oh, sorry about my voice. I actually have COVID." And then the guy's just like, you see the interviewer's face, and he's like,
Yeah.
you know what's that meme? You know, at that moment, I just fucked up or something.
Yeah. He
That's what
just
was
looks
like.
at the camera. She's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I just got a cough.
Yeah, he
And
said I
he's-
have COVID. That's what he
just
literally
stops.
said. Sorry, I have COVID.
It's just like catching the cold there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's good. We can get a haircut, so we'll look a little bit more respectable for the podcast.
We're gonna look a lot better, and even like everyone talks about the sweatpants and the clothes. Like we actually can go outside.
Yeah, because we need more clothes. Like Nathan has like what? How many t-shirts do you own?
It's grand total of like.
Nathan has like no t-shirts.
No, I have them, but they're
just shitty t-shirts, man.
Well, they're all free dials, free sponsorship, HyperX t-shirts, Twitch t-shirts.
So I told Nathan he should either go to Uniqlo and then get like 7 awesome basic t-shirts because we won't even able to shop. Clothes.
Yeah.
All right, so before we dive into get into the thick of it, we'll quickly touch on Worlds, right? Fnatic versus
the League of Legends World Championship.
Wow.
So Sunin 3-1 JD. I almost fucked up my predictions pretty hardcore.
Who you predicted?
A JDG to win 3-1. I think I said.
Okay.
No, I said that would be brutal 3-2. I can't remember.
Well, you said pretty sure you said it was going to be a slugfest, but JDG were going to win.
Yeah.
Whereas I said it was going to be 3-1 Sunin.
So I messed that one up.
Yeah.
You were right.
Yeah.
We both said I think 3-0 DWG DRX.
Yeah, that was a pretty stock standard one. And then
last night was Fnatic versus Top, which we're really excited for.
I said 3-1 Fnatic, and then you meme me about that. So this is what happened. Let me set the scene here.
Okay.
So we're chilling on the couch watching this series
last night,
and I was, game 1 happens. Reckless and Hilly are just absolutely popping off in the bot lane.
I was sweating,
and they win that game.
Yeah.
And they're looking good.
Yeah.
And they ride the confidence of the first game into the second game. They win again. So they're 2-0 up. This is spoilers, by the way. Hopefully everyone's watched this. If you haven't watched it, go maybe skip past this section. And anyway, then I'm talking to Nathan. Look, it's going to be 3-0 or 3-1. And Nathan's like, oh my God. Because he roasted me. He was saying how I was
on the
delusional.
last podcast, I literally said, Curtis, there's no way it's not a 3, just quick 3-0. I said it would be 60 minutes.
You said it would be 60 minutes, 3-0
total
Top
game
Esports.
time. Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be like a 3-0 or 3-1 for Fnatic at that point. And then...
But what was that based on, Curtis? Come on, let's be real.
Oh, I said it was just following my heart.
Yeah,
it was not logical.
I'm logical.
Yeah, you were logical. Yeah, but you got to take into account chaos in a quarterfinal. Like, it's never on paper how it goes.
Yeah, I did definitely underestimate Fnatic.
And I mean, a few of my comments in terms of what Fnatic... I mean, Hylissang and Reckless played very, very well.
I love Hylissang's...
Oh, Hylissang's Rakan, man.
Beautiful.
I
Engages.
The way he plays the game. Yeah, his movement, you mean?
Like that engage that they had on that.
So much threat.
It's like he's like out of the fight, but then he's instantly in it. Like, you know what I mean?
I just like that he has such like an aggressive nature to him. Like he's not afraid to push limits.
He'll pull the trigger.
He really knows how to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
He makes Rakan, look amazing. And I thought like with that confidence, they're going to run away with it.
When they're 2-0 up. Oh, when they're 2-0 up, I was like, I literally thought it would just be a 3-0.
Yeah. I didn't think, to be honest, they look broken. Even the coaching staff after game 2, they're like, holy shit.
Top's broken. They're literally like nervous. If you saw on the camera, they're nervous, shaking and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were done. I was like, okay, this is going to be very difficult for them to get out of it. But, I mean, props to them. They pulled it back. They used that Sion. And I think that Sion pick really caught Fnatic off guard. And I think the reason being is that maybe they didn't expect 369 to play tanks. I mean... Again, I'm not overly knowledgeable about 369 as a player in terms of what he played during the regular split, but I saw obviously Fnatic, especially in game 4, they picked the Galio there when they saw Knights Jace, they saw Nidalee, they saw, I believe it was Senatarm, Nidalee, Jace. And I'm like, here...
This is game 3, isn't it?
I think this was game 4. It was game 4, 100%. I know. Okay. I checked this morning.
Okay.
And then what happened, Fnatic were on blue side. They had a very heavy front line. I think they had already an Ornn. They had a set support, and they had Ash Graves. I was like, okay, anything with... To be honest, you could pick anything in that situation because you're versing a low threat comp. There's not that much engage, not much CC. And, you have front line. So I'm like, all right, here... If you go Galio and they go a tank, you don't have nearly enough damage to get through that Sion. You got
literally zero damage.
Galio is great. Galio is acceptable to be the only form of solo AP if you're not versing heavy frontline. But a Senatarm, then Nidalee with a Sion with this, centers, obviously healing and shielding being amazing on tanks. That is, I mean, how do you win the game? And they got a lead. They just weren't able to translate because they get to team fights. Sion sits there. And obviously, Sion kind of got out of control through dominating Bwipo. But
his lane phase was
but I'm like,
really good.
But why pick? I mean, I just think to myself, if they had just picked like anything that could rise, Nemesis plays rise. I'm not sure about how. I know he can play Azir, but I don't know how confident he is on Azir. To be honest with you, yes, Azir will kind of get destroyed by poke in mid game by the Jace and the Nidalee, but they have enough engaged with the set and the Ornn. I think they could make it work. And then, to be honest with you, he'd already shown Sion the game before. So why not just go like Cassio? Yes, the 1v1 matchup's going to be trash, but better than playing Galio as your sole AP into a heavy frontline composition. But anyway, that happened. Ended up getting reverse swept, which I never would have thought would have happened.
So you thought it was literally over for top?
Okay, the main reason I thought it was over for top is because I think they got
game
caught
2
off.
or after game 3? I mean,
after they lost game 2?
After game 3, were you still after they won game 3?
After they won game 3, I'm like, okay, they've bounced back.
Okay,
but after game 2,
I
had no idea that, because I thought they had just been caught off guard completely, and the confidence that Fnatic had, it's like, oh wow, we can just beat them now. Like we're not. I think they were always going to be confident in their macro gameplay, but maybe they were a little bit nervous, especially Reckless getting destroyed by Jackie Love and stuff. Like maybe there's something in his head. But after he performed so well, game 1, game 2, he's probably like, oh cool, we have good macro now, and now we can dominate laning phase.
Do you reckon they had that one more mentality in the one more meme where it's like one
Probably.
more, and then that gets in your head, saying that we only need one more, so it's like we can just relax.
I mean, it's hard to say, man. I mean, it's hard not to have that.
It's like you're so close.
Yeah.
But then game 2, then you lose game 4. It's like, shit, we're so close, but now we're so far. It's like, now it's just the best of one.
Oh.
Game 5s.
So sad. But anyway, great series. Dude, imagine. I mean, we got Gen.G G2 tonight.
I'm actually so
unbelievable. And the semifinals, man. And then think about that. Gen.G, Damwon on that side of the bracket, or G2 and Damwon, which are both going to be amazing. And then you have on the other side
China versus either
China.
Korea or Europe.
Oh yeah, sorry. For the grand final, it's going to be either China versus
awesome.
Europe or Korea.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing, dude. Hype. But anyway, great series. If you didn't watch it, I would actually go back and probably watch the highlights, or at least even watch game 4, game 5. Really solid games.
All right. So should we jump into our Broken by Concept hot topics?
Let's do it.
All right, so this one here was triggered from, but it came to my mind how much of a problem this is in the league community, or people like looking to climb SoloQ.
Was this from your Discord or?
Oh, it's just from doing YFJC.
Right.
I think it was my last week, which is, for those that you don't know, that's pretty much what a lot of my YouTube content's really, all I do to be honest these days, is this, my show where I help out people in early jungle pathing. And like people come on the show, I talk to them. We talk about their champ, where their rank's been going, and then we get into an early game, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And I have like 5-6 guests on like per show, and this last week in particular, I had a bunch of people come on, and some people just sit there quietly and listen, but some people really like to tell them, it's like, Nathan, this is why I did this, and there's all these invisible narratives or just things that I hear over and over again that just hold people back so much. And like there's specific ones that popped up that I'm like, all right, I've heard this a million times. Like, okay, I got to explain to this guy again why this narrative here is holding him back, and why you can't be thinking about it like so these this. Are just too rigid
mental things that are just holding them. So they're better than physically better, more capable of their current rank.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just straight up. It's just wrong. There. It's just wrong mindset. Right. Bam, done. So here's a couple of them. I'm just going to read them out. We can talk about these individually, Curtis.
Did you want to go over them one by one, or did you want to say them all and then go back?
I just want to say them all. We can just nitpick. Okay. Never gank a top laner top.
A top, even a tank?
A tank, sorry. A tank.
A tank top laner.
A tank top laner, yes. Always ignore Ezreal Yuumi lanes. Okay, there's two parts of these invisible narratives. There is specific in-game ones, and then there's like outer game sort of, but mental sort of mid-game mental aspect ones. Okay, I duo Q, but Nathan, I'm duoing with my mid. That's why I'm playing around him. You know, like I don't trust my teammates. I got to play around my mid laner here. This lane's just doomed. Like it's just lost. I just got to just leave it.
Okay.
Sort of difference between losing and lost lanes. That's actually the main ones. Those are the ones that came from the show.
Okay. They're the ones that came from last week's episode.
What have you dealt with your coaching clients and stuff? What is something you hear? You're like, all right, I've just explained this 100 times why this invisible narrative is holding them back or false.
Well, one that I've probably answered 1 trillion times is that there are going to be situations in which you cannot prevent the enemy from getting a roam off, right? There are going to be games where whatever you do, just because of how the matchup plays out or because of the way the game plays out, they will get maybe 1 or 2, you know, they're going to get pressure on these waves and they're going to get a roam off.
How do they react? What's the initial reaction?
Well, generally, they come into my Discord, or no, generally they come into the Discord and say, I was up 30, 40 CS, but the enemy, the mid laner, just went 8-0 because I kept roaming and killing bot. That's what I hear. I hear it all the time. It's probably one of my most up there with one of the most common things said on my Discord.
Okay.
How do I stop people from like roaming mid laner? So I'm going to try and do a video on it because something is missing here that I really don't understand, because either 1 or 2 things happens. The way I view it like this. There's a few things here, a few threads to pull on. You got one, if they are roaming that often, or if they're able to roam that often, then maybe you're not walking the tightrope. I call it on mine walking the tightrope. Man, you got to exert the perfect amount of pressure, not heavy trading too much or putting yourself in a very vulnerable position where they can kill you, but you don't want to play overly defensive in which they can easily play for the wave and just move. You got to pressure at them, make them make a choice between you and the wave, and find that, you know, walk that tightrope between the perfect amount of aggression and then a little bit of defense. You got to find that midway point. So there's that. Then there's another element of, okay, well, yes, maybe then the next thing I hear is, oh, Curtis, but they're not even getting waves. They're just literally leaving waves and going, and then like going.
My
to
team's
roams.
all just dying. I'm pinging it, and my team's all dying.
That just doesn't make sense to me. Like even when I was smurfing or doing my unranked challenges, that never happened to me.
Yeah,
there was never a situation in which someone just kept ditching windman. Because if that happens, they go down 2 or 3 levels.
Okay, so
and what are the chances every single time they roam, they get a kill?
Yeah,
I've never seen that in the history of League of Legends.
Like, so that's the thing about this.
Either they're exaggerating or straight up lying.
So this is the thing about the invisible narratives,
right? Is
that they are very easy excuses to justify your either actions in game or an excuse just like this is my statement. This is why I lost this game, and then that's it. I just move on.
That's it. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason. It's like, you know, they're not getting into the review. They're not getting into the specifics, like micro tethering.
You got to get into the specifics. And I always bring it back. Okay, let's bring it back then. Okay, was it one, the matchup where, yes, they itemized early, they counterpicked you and all these things. So they're going to get pressure off maybe these first few levels. Okay, sometimes that's the case. That doesn't necessarily mean the game is over. And especially in low elo where, yes, the chances are that the game is going to go to 35, 40 minutes. A lot of the time, 35 minutes. Like you're going to get to mid game to like it because no one knows how to end games probably at that elo range, right? So there's that element. So did you compensate then? Did you make it worse? Did you follow them in the river and die? Did you not freeze and deny a lot of CS? And then maybe could you have played more aggressive? Could you have tethered better? Did the person so if Talon uses the W, the rake on the wave, what was your response? Did you just let him get the wave in, or did you posture aggressively onto him when his cooldowns were down? Did you abuse his cooldowns? If he's using them on the wave in front of you, you got to punish that, right? Or if you're playing something like a Victor or an Orianna or any of these champions with like a long cooldown ultimate, just use it on them. Use it on them in the middle of the lane to get a really good trade. Then they're going to be too low to go for a roam. Then you can get a tempo reset. There's so many ways to navigate these situations. You can ward very defensively on the side you think is going to get roamed on. You can put pink wards defensively or vision trinkets on that side. You can ping way, way in advance. You can ward the middle of the lane and literally see where they're going and do danger literally on top of their character the entire way. You can, again, like I said, deny creeps. You can hardcore get plates. You can make a response roam on the other side of the map. There is all these things you can do. And yes, then it ties me to the last point. which is, again, maybe people forget, is that you're not going to win every game. Sometimes they are out of your control. Sometimes, yes, well played. The other guy outplayed you. He's playing an assassin, and he get these roams off, and he snowballed. Cool. How many times is that going to happen? That's not going to happen every single game.
Because it does happen every single game.
So I don't know what's going on.
That's what they'll say.
I mean, that's an invisible. I don't know if that's an invisible narrative. I don't know what that is. If that's the same of what you're talking about, but that's a problem that I kind of don't. I'm a little confused on. I'm trying to understand more about it because I just don't see how it's a massive problem.
You have to do something crazy to win a game. You got a 1v9. It's all about the kills.
Oh yeah. That's a big one. Because we talk about that on both of our channels. So for those of you may even watch either of us, Nathan talks about small wins mentality. I talk about small wins a lot. But I don't think many people truly internalize what the small wins mentality actually is. Okay.
So small wins, how do you describe small wins?
Okay, well, in the context of this problem, I get this on my Discord
okay,
as well.
is the context of a problem of you have to do something crazy to win the game?
You don't have to do something crazy to win the game.
Yeah.
People feel like in order to they feel like they have to carry every game.
Yeah, but the version of carry is I have 20 kills.
Yeah, the version of carry is like you got like
kills.
25 stacks of Magi's and you're walking around killing everyone.
Yeah.
In my mind, even when I played my unranked to Challenger series, I often only like even when I climb like in lower elos, I don't view carrying like that. I view carrying as not dying, getting very good CS.
For lower elo, you should have more emphasis on your deaths rather than your kills.
100%. Dying less is more important than getting kills. So I would rather be 0-0-3, right? So 0 deaths, 0 kills, 3 assists than 4-2-0. 4 kills, 2 deaths, 0 assists.
4-2-0 is an ugly score, Curtis.
It is a bit of an ugly score. We have 4 kills, Nathan.
I know you have 4 kills, but you got 2 deaths.
Exactly.
Man. You know, whenever I would see a 4-2 person, they're like either the same level, or down like 20 CS or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's every time I picture like that type of score, it's like the half. It's like the half, the like 6-3, 8-4. Like that's such an interesting point.
Yeah.
In terms of KDA.
But yeah, the small wins is essentially, again, it's League of Legends is about all of the small things done right, adding up to create one big win.
Well, it's a bigger lead eventually.
One big lead eventually.
Burn a flash, get a chunk. But you can, like a small win, something that you could easily be a small win could also just be an absolute disaster, okay? You get a chunk on the enemy support, you want to overextend, you flash for the kill, and you overextend, and now you die, and now you actually lose it. Like, it's such a fine line.
It's a fine line, yeah.
You know? Well, the way that I would describe small wins, it's like +1-0. +1-0.
Yeah.
I get +1, they get 0. I get +1, they get 0.
Well, and a very simple thing for small wins in mid lane would be I'm taking 10% of their HP, but I lose nothing. So they get none of my HP, but I take 10% of theirs. Rather than I'm taking 20% of theirs, but they take 10% of mine. So one's a small win. Obviously, the other one's also
so 20% of theirs and 10% of mine.
Yeah. Or 10% of theirs and 0 of mine.
That's better than the 20%.
Yes.
Oh, really?
I think so. Or okay. It depends. That depends on the matchup.
Depends on the matchup and the game say and the jungly versus.
But I'm saying that's a very clean example to try and
got it
at a very simple level. But small wins a lot of the time is, again, when I'm playing, say I'm playing Twist of Fate, a small win can literally be as big as like, it can really be small as potentially, okay, they don't tether correctly. I get a gold card full and an empowered auto attack onto them, which then makes them scared. Okay, so the way this works, right, the way I view this is, okay, if I take 2 really good trades, yes, I know that I'm probably never going to kill this guy, but what might happen if I keep taking these little good trades over and over and over again, eventually I'm going to get more pressure in the lane, which allows me to get better quality vision. Then they're going to have to recall, which means I get a better quality reset over my opponent, which means that I'm going to go back to base with more gold, and they're not going to be able to decide when they want to recall, right? Like, because they're just going to have to be forced out of lane and maybe take a shit recall and have a shit item purchase. Whereas me, I'm not going to lose any XP because I'm going to always be the one who's shoving in and recalling. Yep. Which means, yes, I might get up half a level. right? Now that's it. That's very meaningful levels 1 to 6 because I get level 6 first, can maybe make a power play, but they, it's all these little things adding up to create a favorable situation because then maybe I have an extra amplifying tomb over the enemy. Then it comes to a 2v2 skirmish and my extra AP gives me the edge and we win that skirmish out. Or I blow flash 1v1, which in my opinion is a big win, but some people may consider that a small win.
Wait, so you blow a flash, but you don't flash after them?
Yeah, I don't flash after them. That's huge.
So that's the most simple small win. It's like they flash, and I can save my flash to kill them maybe later.
That's huge.
But I mean, at the end of the day, kill's a kill.
Kill's a kill, obviously. But
sometimes it's like, well, I don't need to chase into no vision. Like I shouldn't do that. It's like, let's say they flash towards it. Obviously the jungler's there. Okay, I'll take the flash. For jungle, I'd say the small wins would be more, I literally just track the enemy jungle just one time on a ward.
Yeah.
Or I get a control ward placed down in this bush. Or I deny a control ward. Because sometimes, a lot of stuff that I say is people are like there, like so people are going for a gank, they get seen by a control ward and like, no, I got to keep forcing the gank. But okay, accept reality. They've seen me. They're obviously posturing up. This is just too forced.
Yeah.
Clear the control ward. Bam. That's beautiful small win.
Or you could even like hover and get seen by a ward, but that actually allows your laners to get the wave out safely. That's like a small win in a
absolutely.
way, Another one...
Wins aren't kills, and that's the thing.
Wins doesn't...
It's kills. It's got to be a kill, dude. If I'm not getting a kill, like, I'm not winning the game.
Well, the way I view it as well is that this. Think about... So climbing isn't... It's unrealistic that you're going to randomly have like a 60, 70%, 65, 70% win rate when you climb. It's going to be like 52%, 51%, 53%. It's going to be very, very, very small. And the way I view it is all you have to do is outperform your counterpart. That's all you have to do.
That's how you climb in SoloQ.
That's all you have to do. Outperform your counterpart. If you're outperforming your counterpart every single game, you will climb. Eventually.
Okay, how much? Do you outperform them a little bit, or do you have to be like outperforming them significantly?
Well, I don't know specifically. All I know is that you just outperform them. Whether you're farming better, you're getting up in XP, you're roaming, you're denying their roams. You're doing things better than them. You're completing your game plan better than they're completing their game plan at the end of the day. But yeah, the small wins mentality, dude, I think that is a big one. People just think they need to do something crazy to win a game. They need to get 1,000 solo kills. Yes, if you're playing an assassin, Fizz, or you're playing Zed, yes, you might have to get a solo kill. But that's not crazy. That's just part of your kit. You're going to have inherent advantages. Yeah, I just think that people need to develop that small wins mentality a lot more.
So that was based off the narrative that we talked about. So you have to do something crazy to win their games. And a lot of the time, again, that puts them in unfavorable positions. That they're actually losing the game for their teams. They're actually losing the game because they're like, well, they feel like they need to do something, but you don't. You're like, you really don't.
Well, I'm actually going to talk about this in one of my next videos. I'm doing a video on game pace. Right, so I talk about game pace a lot in my videos.
Give us a preview, Curtis. What's that mean? What are you thinking?
Well,
so game pace. There's slow games. There's fast games. There's medium games.
Well, yeah, I talk about game pace a lot. You talk about game pace in reference to slowing down a game. I talk a lot about game pace in terms of speeding up a game. Usually.
Again, no one has problems taking a fight.
Yeah.
Like again, very rarely, especially in high elo, but low elo. A fight's happening. Yeah. Okay. Someone's coming out alive. Someone's not. There's going to be a last man standing.
Well, the reason I think understanding game pace is important is because you can't afford to play slow in a fast-paced game, and you can't afford to play fast. Or you shouldn't be. It's going to literally decrease your chance of winning or playing fast in a slow-paced game. And obviously, yes, we've got to take into account champion differences and things like that. But a perfect example would be. Okay, let's say you're playing Orianna and you see a aggressive, heavy trading top lane 1v1 matchup. Let's say we see a Darius versus a Fiora or a Renekton versus a Camille or whatever it is, and they're heavy trading. They're really slogging away at each other. They're very low, that sort of thing. Now, if you're versing maybe a champion that could potentially influence that lane, whether it's a Twisted Fate, whether it's a Fizz, whether it's a Zed, any of them. Now, I can't afford to give a lot of pressure. I can't afford to stay in lane for 1300 gold and play slow and ration out my resources, because if I do that, then likely that laner will be able to influence that lane and explode the game. Because their game basically can play fast. Not like the 2 tanks top just chilling at full HP and there's no kill threat if the roam. I need to be able to adapt here. And especially, and you generally see this with junglers ganking lane. If you're versing like people are heavy trading lanes, or the junglers very early aggression, that sort of thing. I got to adapt. So what I'll do instead is Orianna. Sometimes this will actually influence my runes that I take, and also the type of trades that I take and the itemization. Then I'll say to myself, okay, well, given this, I actually have to trade a little bit more aggressive here to keep this person in lane. I'll actually have to maybe go back to base for an extra Doran's or a Dark Seal way earlier than I would, and trade very heavy onto this guy, or trade heavier than I would otherwise. Okay, if it's a slow game, conversely, and everyone's scaling, everyone's chilling, as Orianna, I can actually, I don't need to heavy trade with this talent and go back for an early Dark Seal.
Take it slow.
I can just stay in lane for 1300 gold and go for a Lost Chapter. If I can get away with that, that's awesome.
God, that's terrifying to play against Orianna that's just sitting there, just relaxing.
Yeah, so it's the exact same with a lot of champions. And even to a certain extent, Zed can actually do the same thing depending on the game. If there's a lot of tanks in the game, then you probably have to maybe, play quite aggressively.
Well, one interesting thing you told me about Zed was when you were making your guide, you realized that you actually want to play slow-paced games than fast-paced games.
Well, it depends on the champs in the game, but a lot of the time Zed is completely fine.
That's such an interesting narrative. Like that's a narrative I never people talk about.
Yeah, people feel like they have to force.
And then they're down 60 CS and they're useless.
You watch Z99 climb reliably on Zed, he always has good CS. He finds a way to get good CS because he doesn't force. It's a kill. And the reason is, why this ties back to is understanding your power spikes. He understands that even if he doesn't get anything done before Yomu's, but he gets a clean Yomu's, and then even if he doesn't get much done on Yomu's and gets a clean Duskblade, he then has 2 insane lethality items and will one-shot the AD carry no matter what. The amount of games I watched Z99 play, which is the Korean Z1 trick, where he was 001 or something, and he got to he had 150 CS by 16 minutes or 17 minutes or whatever it was. And then he gets some team fight, and he one-shots the enemy AD carry, deletes him because he just does so much damage at that point. And then they can snowball from that point onwards and kind of win the game. But there's some games you're versing triple tank, then yes, you might have to play overly aggressive. You might have to go for crazy, riskier plays or riskier roams to try and snowball a lane that can deal with the tanks. Something like that, That's where game pace really, might come into play. Anyway, I'm going to do a video on this, but was that we're talking about a narrative there or not? Was that
that sort of ties in the narrative of people hear this term all the time, outscaling. I'm scared. We're getting outscaled. Getting outscaled. Or the opposite is we're playing the early game team. We have to do something early,
It's actually a big misconception a lot of the time. What do you view scaling? For me, scaling is just very rarely a problem, dude.
Yeah, yes, but you said that you play champions that...
I play Galio and Twisted Fate. They don't necessarily scale. But I think they do. People say they do.
Different. Mid lanes, I feel like different. Jungle, there is some sort of pressure on you, but you got to deal with it. You can't. You still got to. If there's no opportunity, there's no opportunity.
Right.
I mean, again, I see it all the time. Like Elise players or.
Well, we'll talk about Sybil's Elise.
Yeah.
His philosophy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that because you played with him recently.
Well, he
Challenge Renault's player.
Well, he's not even an Elise one trick. He's just a jungler, right?
Yeah.
Good jungler.
Yeah.
And he plays Elise a lot of the time. And if he can't get a kill off, he'll just play for Rudy Geckos, farm for Rudy Geckos, get a double scuttle with his early strength, and he'll keep farming, even if he has to go to Oblivion Orb. And then he gets Rudy Geckos, Oblivion Orb, or whatever he builds.
That's a big spike, man.
And then he gets to 13 minutes and then one-shot someone and then gets a Rift Herald or whatever it is, or 12 minutes and then one-shot someone, gets a Rift Herald and then explodes the game because he can snowball off that one kill. Yeah, he hasn't got a kill off in the first 10 minutes, but sometimes that's the reality of the game. Sometimes
people stress about that, Curtis. I mean, I've experienced that when I started learning early game junglers.
Dude, I feel like scaling really doesn't come into play until 25 minutes.
But is it even helpful to think about it at all? Are you just playing the game?
I mean...
All right, so I feel
like there's so much human error in SoloQ as well. Just because someone scales really well.
I mean, how many times have you beaten a level 16?
Actually, no. Scaling does matter in high elo games.
Yeah, that's right.
So in O's, sometimes in high elo games, It does matter. It does, but not low elo. Like
how many times would you say you've beaten a level 16 Kassadin? What do you reckon?
It depends. I mean, if I'm the game, a lot of my games actually recent games versus Kassadin. The Kassadin actually does get to 16, but I'm so far ahead that it actually doesn't matter.
Yeah. How interesting is that?
Yeah.
Everyone, that's an invisible narrative. Kassadin level 16, GG.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously a big win condition, but yeah, it really depends on the composition in the game as well. How much CC, how much lockdown.
And then another one, it's like, okay, if you're playing the scaling comp, you can't
Sit
fight.
back, relax.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
like you gotta find your opportunities.
Yeah.
Still, you still can fight. At the end of the day, you have a champion with 4 abilities. You know.
Yeah.
So
You got to keep an open mind. That's the way I like to view it. Yes, you're playing Victor and you don't want to really contest scuttles, but if it looks good, you can still go. You know, if your jungler's like got the flank on him and then your top lane has priority, and you're full HP, full resources, you can still go. It's not the end of the world. Like, just because you're playing Victor and you don't want to fight, it's still possible that you can adapt to the situation and go. Adaptability is an interesting one. I talk about it so much, but I haven't even made a video on it.
You always slot it into videos.
It's a slot, because you can't make a video on adapting because you have to adapt in every single element of the game.
Imagine if you had some sort of list you could like search up. It's like, this is how you adapt in this specific situation. How big would that list be? There'd be like hundreds of millions of combinations.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's impossible. I mean, that's what the game is about. The game is way too chaotic. It's not a 1v1, right? A 1v1, there would already be a lot of adapting going on, but there's 5 people on each team. Yeah. There is so
roaming
many variables.
Supports, roaming mid laners, talons running in your jungle, invades.
But you can't adapt well if you don't have champion mastery, by the way. You need champion mastery in it.
Is that because you're because
you don't know what your champion's capable of in a way, or you don't know what your role is, because adapting always comes down to like your role.
Yeah, that's always
you don't know your role.
So it's like, this is what's happening. This is my place in what's happening.
This is my place in this game, or this is my role in this game. Well, identifying your role in a game or in a competition. It's like
an example is. I was doing a review today. He was playing Lee Sin, and he had like a full hardcore damage scaling comp, right? And he had like a Soraka support. His job, he was again as a Katarina. His job is not to go in and like 1v9 as Lee Sin. It's to cancel the cat ult with your ult.
That's it.
And peel for your team.
Yep.
And
were they ahead? Was it even?
It was like even, I think. I think they were ahead at one point. They lost the game.
Right.
But it's like even your build, Knight's Vow.
Yeah.
Knight's Vow and Lee Sin, you don't really build. But like that specific game, it's like you're not doing anything, man.
You know, that's super interesting. So you know that YouTube channel, that 80 carry dude, XFSN Saber?
Okay, yeah. I've heard of him.
I got linked a video from him. This would have had to be at least a month and a half ago. And it was actually a video talking about Dopa. And it was talking about adapt. And I think I really respect what he was trying to articulate, but he didn't have the vocabulary or the knowledge to really talk about it cleanly. Like he really struggled to articulate, and even me, I struggle to articulate it. But essentially, it's knowing your role and adapting. It's a combination of both.
Okay.
Now, the example he used was actually showing a bunch of team fights with Dopart, with Fizz, and it was super fascinating. It was this one team fight. It was like a scrappy like one of those fights where if it starts off as a man advantage and then gets extended and then more people come and then it like gets really sloppy and scrappy. Now with Fizz, what do you think when you think of Fizz? You think of like diving on the squishies. And
he's just going straight for the squishies.
You're going straight for the squishies.
Yeah.
In this situation, he had a very fit of Felios.
Yeah.
Right? He ended up like throwing his ult out onto one person, chunking them out. He didn't chase them. They just flashed away or something. Went back to his 80 carry and stood in between and was creating space for his 80 carry to do damage because he knew that his 80 carry was actually the win condition in this fight.
So he would peel through his damage.
He was playing Fizz in a way.
Yeah, through his damage.
Through threat. Yeah, through exerting threat.
Yeah.
Because he knew that because if he went too far away forward, Aphelios can't follow up.
He's vulnerable.
Yeah, and Aphelios has no follow up, right? So, but he knows if they come into Aphelios, they can't lose the fight because the fellas can set up this turrets and just has the perfect guns, and the fellas was very fed. And even though it was a man disadvantage, right? They should have actually you would think, oh, they would just disengage. If you view Fizz as most people would view Fizz, then yeah, you would view that as a lost fight. But if you play Peel in this specific situation, it ends up being really good, and they end up like 2v5ing or something it was. And it got me thinking, like, that's so fascinating, and that ties into. I mean, that's where game sense I think really comes into play, like game sense as a concept. But I the way I view that is, you just really know how to win that fight. Like, you know your role in the composition, and that's where you got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to adapt. You can still play Peel with a threatening champion. And the perfect example is this. I love doing this as well. When I played a lot of Zed, let's just say there's about a 5v5 team fight coming out in Dragon. And you see this a lot actually on just any flanking champion. But let's just say you're playing Zed, and everyone's fighting for the soul. Say it's an Infernal Soul.
Yeah.
And then what you do as Zed, ideally you're out of vision and you're coming in from a flank, so you get access into the back line. But there's a lot of situations where it's all warded and there's nothing you can do, and they know you're there, but it doesn't matter. You
literally just don't go in.
No, they see you there, and they see you there, but then you keep walking forward, and then they have to back up.
Yeah.
Because they can't commit into the river fully if you're there, right? Because then you'll just get straight backline access. Or you're actually making the key peelers on that team gravitate towards you. So maybe the Braum or the Tarm or the Rakan actually has to deal with you, which then makes the rest of the team exposed because they're trying to deal with you. So you're influencing the way they can. And sometimes they even have to hold their abilities for you. They can't even engage. Rakan can't go forward, or Rakan can't like W forward or anything. He has to save it for you, in which then your team wins a 4v4. Right? If you know your team wins the front to back.
Because you've mispositioned a bunch of people.
Yeah, you've actually just ruined their positioning, and it's not a clean straight front to back team fight.
And the worst thing you can do in those situations is Zed to go in.
Yeah, you don't go in. You don't want to go in. You want to hold.
Yeah.
It's the threat of you being there which actually influences the way people position.
Yeah, okay. So that's I don't know if it's an invisible narrative or it's just your instincts, but if fight's happening, I've got to pop all my abilities. It's just like everything has to be on cooldown, otherwise I'm not using things efficiently.
Yeah, this is really hard though to teach.
It is hard to teach, isn't it?
I don't even think it might not even be teachable, honestly.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I know what you mean. Let's riff off this a bit, because I think Fnatic were very good at doing that last night in that best of 5.
Yeah.
Let's actually bring it at a very basic level, and then we'll get more specific.
Okay.
At the most basic level, you know where it starts? Is that you got to fight every dragon. I see this in my coaching sessions all the time.
There you go. We're getting here. We're getting some more narratives.
I get this in my coaching sessions where it's like you're playing this champ that's so close to a key major spike, or like they're stronger. Why fight? It's like the second dragon.
Because I'm losing dragon. Because I'm going to lose Dragon Soul. The first Dragon's so important.
It's like one dragon, and it's like the second dragon of the game. Yes, cool. You give it's not good, obviously, but it's better than dying
and then losing the dragon anyway.
They would rather coin flip and die than give it up. But if you go give it up, you can actually trade it for a lot. You can actually get like top tower, take their jungle camps. You can get a lot for it. But you have to say this way in advance, right? And so people always have this weird misconception and visible narrative that you have to fight every single dragon. You can't just give a dragon, which is not the case. Now, that's one element. We don't have to contest every single objective. The next one is you don't have to fight every fight. You can just just leave. Yes, they're grouping. Just because they're grouping doesn't mean you have to fight. Just chill. Give maybe they get a bit of damage on the tower. You have to give a wave. Okay? Giving something in general. We're not good at giving. Sacrificing, making sacrifices, because
short term versus long term.
Short term versus long term thinking. And then even I guess at a more detailed level, more micro level, like you said, is there's a fight breaking out. Why don't I just hold my abilities?
You know what? Do it a couple of times. Like, literally be conscious of it. Next game you go in SoloQ, you're listening to this, I want you to go into some fights and just relax on your abilities a bit, especially your CC abilities, and see what it feels like. I mean, for example, I had a Syndra I was playing with today. Just throwing E's off cooldown, man. And just no E's were hitting.
It's the threat of the ability itself, which is important. And because... Okay, the most simple level where this actually probably all originated was from Blitzcrank and Thresh, right? Where
and
like
Morgana.
You're playing like Blitzcrank, and then you just hold the hook and you're running after them, and then they just start doing zigzags, which means you get closer and closer, and then you just knock them up with your E into the hook, you know? So that's the most simple level. But there's a great example of this. If you go to the DRX versus Damwon Gaming Game 1, I believe Nuguri plays Kennen, and there's a Rift Herald fight at around, 15 minutes or so, around that. And it's like a big front to back scrappy team fight, and Naguri doesn't have a flank, so he can't just go in, right? He can't just because there was a Kindred R. There's a lot of all these things that would just completely negate Kennen's abilities. Then what happens? He waits for the fight to go out, so he just chills. He's sitting in the backline, just queuing from the backline, just relaxing. Then the Kindred ult goes down, because it was from other people's damage, whether it was the Syndra's damage, whatever. And as soon as the Kindred ult goes down, as it's about to wear off, he then And after the enemy just use their CC, then he E's in and then flash ults and gets a 4 or 5 man ult. Then they follow up and clean up the fight. If he had just panicked straight away and used E flash ult because he saw them all grouped up and followed up on the initial CC, it never would have been a good fight because then Kindred would have ulted.
That's right.
And it would have been a completely different fight. But then they cleaned up on the back end because he held his abilities. He understood that it's better for me to hold right now, wait for the Kindred ult to go down, and then I go. That's a very simple one. It's obviously easy for us to see now in hindsight and the beauty of looking at a replay. But in a game, you'd be surprised at how many people just see, go. I have to go at this moment. That's it. Holding abilities.
You feel like you're playing a different champion, honestly.
Yeah.
That's why when you see pro players versus you're like, dude, that guy feels like he does more damage than me. You know, it's it's again, he's mispositioning them intentionally. He's given himself a favorable fight. He's just literally just hitting his abilities because he's not if you just start throwing all your abilities, I always say you got to take this little split second to look at their juking pattern.
Yeah, and this is what I talk about in my Z guide. The
art of Qs.
No, this is the way you hit the combo.
Yeah,
the way this works is that I can tell the quality of a Z player off one combo.
One combo, there you go. That's
literally,
so interesting.
not even pre-6 as well. Yeah. By level 3, I can tell how good the Z is.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, even level 2, but level 3, I can really tell how good the Z is. The combos like this. The W's, right? That's what Z's abilities are? The W is the clone.
Shadow, the E.
The E is that...
I've been playing League for a long time.
Okay, so you know how the E slows,
yeah,
right? So
that's
the W eats a slow.
Yeah.
The fundamental of Z of hitting the combo is you WE, you get the slow, and then you hold for 0.5 seconds or 0.75 seconds.
Wait for them because they're going to walk left or right.
Yeah, because then you get to see where they're going and they're slowed.
Yeah.
And then you Q. But if you wait too long, the slow's worn off and then the gap's too far. But if you do it too early, they're literally right underneath it and you haven't utilized the slow. You haven't actually seen where they're going. So there's a little timing there where you hold and actually get... If you do that, the chances of you hitting that combo are through the roof. It's through the roof. I was actually something there I was gonna riff off, but I kind of forgot what it was now. Anyway, so invisible narratives. There's a lot of invisible narratives.
Dragons lose games, man.
Did you want to talk about out of game invisible narratives as well?
What were they? I can't remember.
What do I have here? I had some notes.
Take a look at your notes, Curtis. But we did talk about that there. But I mean, it's just crazy that everyone shares. It's where do they come from? It's someone says it, or it's a thing on Reddit or something like that.
I think it's just human nature, dude.
It's just human nature. We just love to have
dopamine. Okay, it's our adrenaline.
We love to have a little sentence to describe something for us to understand it. It makes sense. It's okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I asked you this question this morning. So Nathan actually asked me this question a few times in my life. Where let's say I'm in a really dark spot. Say I'm really upset, or I'm not being my best self, or something, I'm just not confident in myself, or whatever reason. He knows that I'm just not being the person I want to be.
Not your best self.
Yeah, I'm just not being my best self. I'm not being, and I'm not rational, right? This is whether I'm doing things to self-sabotage myself, or whether I'm doing things that he knows that I wouldn't want to be doing. He asked a question saying, if you were this person, how would they act? And the reason I'm kind of flowing on from your one is, if you were to be this Buddhist monk, imagine if
live in some temple.
Yeah, imagine some Buddhist monk, right, who lived in a temple, were to play League.
Has full control of their emotions.
They have full and utter control over their emotional state, and are able to be, completely present in the moment and be extremely logical, what would that look like? Like, if a monk were to play in this game and make the highest quality, like, what would that look like?
They're not focused on the win or loss, the result.
Yeah, they're not focused on the
Very
result.
present.
They're extremely present. They're just always doing the most optimal decision. They're always expressing their best self at every point in time. They're literally expressing what they're capable of. That's it. How amazing would that be to feel that? How little people. I mean, I reckon we get like very brief, fleeting moments of that where, you know, we're in like the zone. We're killing it. We're confident. We're on our best champion. We had a great sleep. We're in winner's queue, whatever the fuck that means. We had a great sleep. We've exercised. We're eating healthy. You know, everything in my life. I'm not worrying about things out of my out of game life is great. Like, everything is in a solid spot. Imagine how well you would play. And it's not even how well you play. It's imagine how creative you would be, or how
free flow,
your ability to adapt.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, this is happening. Okay, this is what I do here. Oh, let me try this. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay, my bot lane is in a.
You make mistakes.
Yeah,
but it's like you just move on instantly.
Yeah,
we can review it after.
Yeah, we can. Exactly. It's like, okay, I'm dead. Now what's next? What do I need to do now? What's the win condition here? What's the next objective? Is the enemy lane roaming? Do I need to ping them? Where's the enemy jungle right now? Where are they going to be coming out of base? Where do I need a ward? What side do I need a ward onto? Which of my sides is winning lane? Who's winning trades? How heavy are they trading? Do we need to trade an objective? When's my next power spike? All of these things. You just bang, 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 bang. You're just so present in the moment. Not a care in the world about anything else apart from that game. How amazing would that be? And, you know, I always think about this as well. Then, you know, there's role models, right? I have role models. You know, one of my role models is like David Goggins. It's like, how would David Goggins react to this situation? What would his response be in this situation? He would probably tell me first, get your shit together and stop complaining. Like, you don't have the right to complain. Or you don't have the right to, like, get on with it. You got to suffer, you know?
Stop being a bitch, man.
Stop being a bitch, yeah. Like, I mean, it's interesting to ask that question. For me, anyway, it's very powerful. It makes me just put things in perspective.
Like, instantly. That's the power of that statement. It's just instantly like, oh, okay, like, yeah, right, you probably wouldn't be doing this.
He would not be doing this.
I probably wouldn't be, you know, complaining that, you know, my life sucks when I'm literally, you know, I got it pretty good, you know, like, got a roof over my head and stuff like that. Like,
well, okay. I've got a few notes here, a few things I want to touch on, which kind of tie into everything that we've mentioned before. But one of the guys in the Discord, he asked this really it was actually a profound question. I don't think he meant it to be a profound question, but I viewed it as very profound. I didn't know how to answer it.
Okay, let's hear it, Curtis.
He says, because I tell people to have, you know, you got to have high standards for yourself, right? You got to hold yourself to a standard. Not a standard that anyone else sets. It's a standard that you set yourself.
Yep.
Okay? What are you proud to be, you know, when you look in the mirror, what standard do you want that person to have? How do you want that person to conduct themselves? Right? Now, it's good to have these high expectations, both from you as a person, but your level of play, all of these things. Now, there's a fine line between, you know, you have these very high expectations for yourself, but like, you got to put it in perspective, because you can't hold yourself to this high standard and expect that you're going to get there overnight. A lot of the time, the way I view it is that version of myself, right? That version of myself who I'm holding myself, like the standard that I want to reach. I'm not going to get there overnight. It's a compass. That's the direction I want to go. That's who I want to be. That's who I want to hold myself. That's a level I want to hold myself to. But there's days where I don't get there. There's games where I don't play at my level. There's games where I actively know, holy shit, you just acted so far below the person you want to be. And that sometimes can make me angry at myself. But you got to find that balance between not getting angry at yourself for not reaching it, but holding yourself to a high standard, putting it in perspective, and not losing too much confidence. Because I think this can really hurt your confidence.
I've seen it. Yeah, people just like give up. It's just like, this is the person that I want to be, but man, it's just, I don't know if I can do it.
Have you experienced that for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I would say definitely with my gameplay, I think that was the biggest thing that, like, when I came back to the game. So, you know, I mean, I didn't play the game for like 3 years, and then, you know, I was living in the past. You know, it's like my rank 2 challenger. Like, challenger was easy for me to get, you know, back then, but like, you know, now it's very difficult. But it's like, what does it matter? You know, it's like I just gotta be playing the game. Like, again, not thinking about the wins and losses. Like, and then I'm like, oh, like I shouldn't be. I mean, what it was for me is like if I like made a pretty major mistake, like a game losing mistake, instantly, like, I'll just give up in that game, pretty much.
That's what this guy on the Discord has as well. He says as soon as he makes one mistake,
because
he just wants to give up and go next.
My expectation is I shouldn't be making those mistakes, and it's like, okay, well, I still got work to do, you know. But it's like I should be making those. Okay, like I made that mistake again, but I still got to keep trying in this game every second.
So how did you get over that? So what's your mentality?
You know,
when you make a mistake,
you know how I got over that, Curtis? I literally just accepted my level of play.
You got to accept your level.
Yeah, like I can't get challenger again. You know, or like
now,
you know,
right now,
that's right. Like, there's no way. It's not possible to make a challenger. So I'm currently a diamond level player.
Yeah.
That's already relieving.
You feel so much better. It's like a weight lifted off your shoulders.
I definitely want to get back to challenger.
Yeah.
And I know that if I put in the effort, I'm pretty confident I can get there.
Right.
But work needs to be done.
Yeah.
You know, and I need to get into the details, and we'll talk about the details in the review and get into the specifics.
And you're not going to get there overnight.
And no, I'm not going to get there overnight. It might take me years.
Yeah.
But the expectation was so toxic for myself because
you had that for a long time, man.
Yeah, I mean,
You're still battling with it now.
I'm still battling with it now. Yeah. Now it's getting better.
Yeah.
But the last year or so, it's been a struggle.
Yeah. So what would you recommend this guy to do? Yeah, he has these high expectations of himself and his level of play.
Yeah. Well, again,
but every single time he makes a mistake, he just feels so tilted. He feels pissed off. He makes a mistake. He dies with gank or whatever. He gets solo killed. What would you say to him?
Well, you got to have fun playing the game.
All right.
You know?
So fun.
Yeah. Like I viewed it like as a choice. Like you got to just make it fun. Make the improvement process fun. You know?
How do you go about that?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, again, it's like, okay, well, some of us, again, the really relieve, like I'm a diamond level player. Like, this is my current level of skill.
What I actually said to one other person, because this ties into the exact same problem, let's bring up and tackle them both at the exact same time, was now that we're at the end of the season, I get a lot of people who are stressed out. This is Raz and Gifts Forgiven, both of you. Other people in my Discord as well saying, you know, I'm gold 1 and I want to get platinum so bad, or I'm like I keep dropping, and like they go from extremes. It's like I'm so happy, I'm in winners queue. I'm dominating, I'm killing everyone, I'm playing good League of Legends, and then overnight I'm a molder. I'm going on a huge loss streak. Now I'm back to gold 3, 50 LP or whatever it is, right? And the way I like to view it is that every single time they get to gold 1, they get closer, they get a few wins. All their attention is focused on the wins and losses. It's not actually focused.
Because it's like, I'm so close to platinum. Like, I just got to win this game. Like, hopefully I just get carried this game. You know, you start thinking that way. It's like, no, you still got to be playing your best. What's to the best of your ability? What's the best decision?
I resonate. I mean, I know what it feels like.
It's hard.
It's so hard.
It's very hard to.
And I think everyone gets there in a different way. Like you said, I think fun is a massive element of it. But I think it's like, you got to find a way to be present. You got to find a way to bring it away from like the wins or losses. Just like, you know, what's that guy's name? Ray Lewis. Just play football.
Yeah.
Just play. Like, he it's like, you got to, whatever it takes, you got to get to that place mentally. To just be like, okay, all I'm here to do, and it's a very Aussie saying, and this helped you as well. It's a very Aussie saying out there. And this is actually what I said to the, I think I said it to Gifts Forgiven. I said, there's an Aussie saying called, we're just having a crack. I'm just going to have a crack.
Just put in the effort. Just have a crack.
Just have a crack.
I'll just try my best.
That actually did help me.
Yeah.
I'm just going in.
Yeah.
And it actually happened to me, by the way, when I made my climb to high challenger.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I went from having an ego.
Yeah.
And like, I was pissed off myself all the time. It wasn't even about other people. It was about me, what other people think of me. And, you know, I'm just trash or whatever it is. It's like, no, okay, I'm going to accept reality. I'm actually not playing that good right now. And I'm not that good objectively. And that's fine, because that's where it all starts. You first got to accept reality where you're at. I'm just having a crack now every game. Okay, I'm not the best player in the world. That's fine. Who am I trying to... I'm not trying to impress anyone here. I'm trying to express my best self. Now, in order to express my best self, I have to let go of all of this mental baggage.
That's the key word. Let go.
Let go.
Let go.
And it does feel good. I'm just going in to have fun.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, good competition is more fun. in a weird way. Yes, you may not.
And it's going to be harder for you. And that person might destroy your goal. You know, it's like that person's literally preventing you from getting to platinum because that guy's better than you.
But you learn so much more. So I actually had a game, right? It was interesting. So this game recently where I was playing, and I got super caught off guard by this gank. And I went to Nathan. I said, Nathan, can you take a look at this and help me break down how I died to this gank? Because I was just so confused. This pathing just confused me. I was like, how is this possible? And I knew after that I died to that gank, the game was over. But it was actually fun. I was like, I just learned something new.
Yeah,
I got into the details, you know?
That's right. We looked at it. I'm like, well, Curtis, there's actually nothing you can do about this. He actually just outplayed you. He played well.
Yeah, he just outplayed me. Cool.
There's nothing you could do. Like literally nothing you could do.
Yeah, no, but I learned more. Now I understood more that these ganks are possible.
Yeah, these can happen.
These can happen. I can't act as though they're going to do this path. In high challenger games, I have to be able to keep a more open mind to what jungle paths people can do. I can't fully lean onto one side without having very good vision, things like that. So even if my jungle tracking is very good. But my mentality after looking at the review, it went from being a little bit frustrated. Obviously, everyone's going to be frustrated after losing a game. But as soon as I get into the review, and as soon as I look at the details and get very specific, I actually felt a lot better. I'm like, oh, okay, well played to him. That was a really good game.
So that's what you actually felt better.
I felt better.
So you were actually really frustrated.
I wasn't really frustrated because I don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't
You're
need
confident
to
in your
prove
ability.
I'm confident in my ability and I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But it's more like I'm not trying to prove to anyone how good I am. I'm not trying to. Yes, I've never said on my channel or on any of my things as well that like I'm the best mid laner. I'm not. I'd say I'm a decent mid laner, but I'm not a great mid laner. I wouldn't say I'm a great mid laner. I wouldn't say I'm an amazing mid laner. And I'm not even putting myself on the map in terms of like the best mid laners out there. I'm a solid mid laner. And that's about it. I don't need to be the best player in the world to teach people. I don't need to be rank 1 in Korea to teach people. I can still teach a lot of people, even if I can't execute on a lot of the things like maybe micro-wise, I'm not up to that standard. But anyway, the point is that I felt better getting into the details. I wasn't worrying about how much LP I won or lost. I was purely looking at the details. And, you know, it ties back to that other conversation we had about the 4 stages of successful companies or whatever it was.
5 stages.
5 stages of great companies, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I forgot what it was.
The top one is, it's like, I respect him. I respect all the players in the game. He actually did a really good play. Props to him. Okay, and then rather than just sucking his dick and say, oh, look how good this guy is. No, he gets specific. Okay. Why did I not foresee this? How could I have foreseen this? Maybe I could have thought about what jungle paths he could have done in the loading screen. Maybe I could have placed my ward better. And how could I have foreseen this in the first place? Then you get into... And once you're getting into those... You're in that mindset. Once you're getting into that level of conversation... You are so distracted. You're so far away from tilting.
You're not thinking about getting to platinum. No. You're not thinking about your rank. You're not thinking about even the wins and losses at that point.
You're not thinking about any of that shit. All you're thinking about is what you need to do next time. Because that's all that matters at the end of the day, right? That is literally all that matters. And this is why we always say, Nathan, me and you both say it. I mean, I always say you got to get into the details. For multiple reasons. You got to get into the details because that's where the juicy information is in order to improve and figure out what the hell is going on. But you also got to get into the details to distract your brain from talking shit to yourself, in a way. Being borderline.
It's like a strategy.
And it's more fun. See the beauty in it.
Yeah.
And this might be a little bit. This is where things might get a little bit philosophical, esoteric here, but this is really true, and I still believe this. I might sound just weird, but
all right, no one's going to judge you, Cade. Don't worry.
When I was blind, right? I wear glasses, right? And I used to wear glasses. I hated wearing glasses in school, so I never wore them. And then one day, like I put on my glasses and I just looked at a tree. And I said to myself, that tree's so beautiful.
You admired the tree.
Yeah, I admired the tree.
What specifically?
The leaves, the detail. Like there was so much detail in the tree, right?
Yeah.
There was all this because I'd already seen it. I'd always seen trees in this very blurry fashion, right?
Got
Where
it.
like,
yeah.
Oh, it's just a tree. There's trillions of trees. Why do I need to care about this tree? But then I put on my glasses and I really just stared at it.
Yeah.
And I just said, let's take a second to like look at it. I'm like, wow.
Think about the treads. Like, I wonder
It's
what.
actually beautiful, like objectively beautiful, like aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing this up, it's kind of like with League is like, League is fun, but we take it for granted. The game is so fun and fulfilling.
You never hear that. Everyone's just having a terrible experience, apparently.
But everyone has to be having fun in order to play in the first place, right? We all played the game like at the start. We all had fun.
That's right.
At some point.
There's a lot everyone has memories of when they were playing League. And it's like when they were first learning
so
it, or
fun,
like
right?
they had some, even with some friends.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the most fun ever. Like Twisted Tree Line for
Twisted Tree Line, the old times, you know?
You know, there's just great experiences.
Yeah.
Clash, man, even Clash.
Yeah,
It's
Clash
some
was awesome.
experiences.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think that like we need to sometimes bring it back to just like, how can we see the beauty in this? How can we respect others? How can we respect what is happening in order to just see things in a very logical way? Let's put our ego aside for a second.
Not logical way, in a good light.
No, in a human way.
In a
honestly.
human way. That's a better way to describe
In a
it.
human way.
Yeah.
I think we get so far detached that there's actually a human on the other side playing that. Yes.
Absolutely, we do. There's people call, you know, each other. I was called a pig the other day. You know, I was like this low pig or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, like we're animals.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
subhuman. Like
Yeah.
you know, piss low
Yeah.
player.
I'm not saying it's
People
easy
forget.
to do this though.
Yeah, it's not.
It's incredibly
I mean,
hard.
at the end of the day, like yes, people are ruining your games. You know, people tilt, people int. You know, like at the end of the day, you're pretty pissed off because you just wasted 30 minutes of your life.
And
you
I
know?
understand. I love it that
It's part of the experience, though.
No, but I love it that people are obsessed about reaching their goals. That's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
awesome. I agree.
It's great that you care.
Yeah.
But you got to reframe it. You have to reframe it in a positive light, however that works for you. Whether it's asking yourself that question, what would X person do? How would my father react in this situation? Or someone you respect? How would this role model react in this situation? How would one of the best players in the world review this game? Or how would they have dealt with this? Or even my best self, how would my best self act in this situation? What did the enemy actually do well? And props to them, man. What did I do well? And what did they do well? How can I replicate that? How can I foresee that from happening? Get into these are all high quality questions. These questions don't lead to dead ends. A question that leads to a dead end, and what you need to avoid again as a player when you're reviewing your own games is, you know, oh, okay, support just roamed, GG, I lost. I made a mistake here, I died, the game's over. Like, oh, that's why I lost that game. I died at level 3, the game's over. Yes, that objectively, the game might be literally impossible to win from that point on, which is highly unlikely, but, okay, surely there's something else you can take away from that game. And as long as you're getting into that review, you're not thinking about the LP or the LP or the rank anyway. So that's great.
So these are the alternatives to this. This is the mindset that you find. I mean, I've found myself personally has really helped me shift away from like super high expectations of like my rank, wins and losses.
Yep. So it's rather
winners
than,
queue, losers queue.
It's rather you can have high expectations. It's rather than high expectations, just in this weird like isolated way. It's high expectations in the context of like being a high quality person. What does that look like? Being emotionally in control. I
guess high expectations, not of like the result, but it's like the way you deal with the stuff.
Yeah, the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's the way you do it. It's the way you do it.
The way you approach it.
And remember John Wooden, he had that... Oh, I wish I had the quote. Oh, I don't have my phone on me. Remember John Wooden's... Google it right now, Nathan. Okay. John Wooden's key to success.
You mean pyramid of success?
No, the quote. He had a quote. John Wooden's key to success. That's not going to sound good. He had a quote.
Wait,
we're getting it right now.
Here we go.
Yeah, his definition.
Okay, yeah.
Definition. Read that. Is that the full quote? That's it.
Success is peace of mind that is the direct result.
Let me read it.
Of self-satisfaction. Is this the one you're talking about? You read it, Curtis.
So John Wooden, this coach, legendary coach, NCAA in America, basketball coach, he said he defined success this way. Success is peace of mind. Wait, that's not... Is peace of mind...
Is that the one or not, Curtis?
That is, but it's like butchered a little bit.
Maybe you have to click the link.
All right, let me click
Try
the
clicking the
here.
link.
Sorry, guys. This is very important. Trust me.
Bear with us.
Okay, I'm just going to read it out, and it's a bit of a weird quote, but
But
they've messed it up a bit. Anyway,
Okay.
success is the peace of mind that is that comes from the direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the. They just butchered this quote. Honestly, it's definition of success.
I think I know what you're talking about.
These idiots honestly can't even copy a quote out. Let's find that is okay. Success is peace of mind. That is the direct result of self-satisfaction. Dude, I can't even read, dude. I swear that's not it.
Because it's just not it. That's
It
it.
just doesn't
I know it's
sound
not.
weird, eh?
I know it's not. There's another one. I know what you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Me too, but these guys... This is honestly embarrassing. Anyway, essentially all it is it's actually the peace of mind knowing that you've done everything you can to become the best you are capable of becoming.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, yes, you may not win. You may not be rank 1. You may not be the world's richest person, whatever. But it's the self-satisfaction in knowing that you did whatever it took. You gave your best. That's what success is. That's the peace of mind. Because you shouldn't feel bad about yourself if you did the best you could.
That's right.
What else can you give?
But it's the opposite. If you leave a game and you know you didn't try your best, it feels so bad.
It actually feels bad. It's like when you win and you don't
It's like,
try. It
why-
actually feels shit
Yeah,
still.
yeah, that's right.
It actually feels bad.
Yeah.
And I think that, I just think that's really important. Now, while we're on this, this was a question I had. We had a weird name. I don't think it was his real name, but he'll know. He'll watch this one. He said to me, he said, Curtis, you talk a lot about then, okay? You talk about you shouldn't focus on the wins and losses. You shouldn't focus on the LP. Then what's the alternative? Like, what should I focus on, right? Now, this guy shared with me his thought, like what he does, what his experiences were, and his metrics to success in a way. And for him, there was 3 things that he looked at after every game. And these dictated whether or not he was, in his own mind, successful within this game. Number 1 was emotional control. How in control of his emotions was he during the game? Number 2 was not tilting others. How well did he do at not tilting others on his team? And the third one was like breathing control.
So if he did these 3 things, this is how you would measure success. Nothing about CS, nothing about
because he kept saying he felt like these were the things that gave him the best results.
Okay.
This is what for me like made him feel successful.
Yeah.
Made him successful. Because if you and this actually led me to a whole nother thing with you, wasn't it, when I was saying imagine if you could focus 100% intensity for a game. Like how many people, when you do your coaching sessions, can you quite honestly say they really tried their best and they were focused for the entire game?
Well, I mean, I can't really say because it's like I'm all VODs, because it's not me. But for me,
but for you,
I mean, when I play my best games in Diamond are very easy, yeah. But when I don't, like when I just start dropping the ball again because like I made a mistake that I shouldn't have made or something that.
So what happens when you make a mistake? You just lose focus.
Well, yeah, because I'm just thinking about that mistake versus thinking about what's the next move.
And when you think about that mistake, what do you think about? Like, what would the game be like if I didn't make that mistake? That's
yeah, literally. Yeah, or any future mistake is like, well, like that wouldn't have happened because I shouldn't have done that.
And you actively know that it's self-sabotage.
Yeah, I know it's self-sabotage.
But you do it anyway.
But I do it anyway. Yeah. But again, I'm getting better. I'm working on it.
Right.
But I mean, there's also an element to it that I'm literally just incompetent at the game right now. I need to actually play more games.
And that
I need to figure out my champ pool and that sort of stuff.
Right.
No, it doesn't upset me. It's just like I just need to again accept. I got to put in the work, man.
So you're still in the process of accepting, or are you just in the middle of doing the work?
I mean, I was, but now I'm back because my champ pool's like just shit.
Yeah, because champ pool's issues is annoying.
So I'm just back to basics again. Like I've had to like restructure. I'm starting to restructure
annoying,
again.
Dude. But anyway, I just found this really interesting, and I like the way he's coming from. Not to say, and I'm not here to say whether this is, great, amazing for everyone, or bad for this people. But like, it's interesting. I like his line of thought where it's like, I just want to make sure that I'm actually just. Well,
firstly, it's interesting he's identified that these things is so important for him playing well.
And it's true. If you could be emotional, and that's what led me to it, is like if you could be emotionally just resolute, like just so strong mentally, right? And you just expressed your best self every game, like what would that look like? Imagine what this would look like if you expressed your best self for a week straight in every game you played. You were just focused in every game you played. Like, you tried your hardest. What would that look like? Like, how fast would you improve? Like, you wouldn't be focusing on winning. You wouldn't be focusing on your teammates. It'd be so easy to get into the review and logically review. It'd be so easy to see where you were at and what your strengths and weaknesses were, because most people, and for me, this was actually, it used to be a big excuse, was I lost this game, or this happened just because, like, I wasn't really trying. I lost focus off this first game, so everything that happens after this, I don't really care anymore. It's not realistic, because I wouldn't, if I was trying, this wouldn't have happened. But that's just bullshit. That's just an excuse. That's just weak mental. So if you don't try, it's hard to see where you're at, what your strengths and weaknesses actually are. And I would say most people are playing, I've said this before on somewhere, I don't know where, but like most people are probably sitting at least 2 or 3 divisions below where they currently are, purely off mental.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone, but I'd say most players.
I'd say most players as well, yeah.
Most players are 2, 3 whole divisions below.
So like give or take 300 LP.
Yeah, about 300 LP, yeah. Which makes sense. Just their raw understanding of the game and their ability to play their best champions. But it's hard. That's why League is so brutal. So I would say alternatives to focusing on LP, I would say again, for me is, did I express my best self? Was I able to stay focused in a game? Rather than just the LP, was I able to stay focused through this entire game? Was I just expressing my best self? Did I use all the lull states? Did I think about stuff coming out of bays? Was I thinking about my win condition and my power spikes? Was I thinking about all this stuff? Okay, then you may say, all right, I was playing my best. That's great, because then when you go into the review, you're going to be able to clearly see what went wrong and what went right, and be able to either replicate it or prevent you from...
you'll learn so much.
You'll learn so much.
If you're playing 110% every game, you're obviously... Because that's you at your best. But if you're playing at 60%, you're making mistakes you've already made and maybe fixed, but now you're making them again because you're just not focused.
So rough. What are some other ways, Nathan, what are some other alternatives to focusing on the LP, would you say? I mean, like this guy, emotional control, not tilting others. You could even have in-game metrics. You can. You can have things like how many... Did you use your trinkets off cooldown every time? Or did you not have to blow flash to a single gank?
Yeah, it's just... in-game stuff, just all very detailed thing. Like
very
jungle
detailed
clear.
Specific things.
Did I finish this clear before 3:15? Did I kite my camps all correctly? Did I assess the lane states before I went for the first scuttle crab? Priority.
Yeah. So very specific things.
Yeah, very specific things. I mean, I think that's... I mean, again,
this is something we're trying to figure out still at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't have the answers, honestly.
I
don't have the answer. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things in this whole episode we're just spitballing because this whole mental side of the game, we're still trying to figure out.
And how to teach it as well. Yeah, I want to know how to delete these mental barriers. I mean, these invisible narratives.
I want to figure out, for me, how come some games I go into a game and I don't give a shit who's in the game. And then the other game, I start maybe getting a little bit nervous because I say, oh, this player's in the game, this player's in the game, he's on this champion. And then I'm thinking about all this bullshit. And now I'm not expressing my best self. I know, and the best way to think about if you were expressing your best self, think about you when you played your best League of Legends. Think about those games you've played in the last week or two where you just felt on top of your game. I guarantee you weren't worried about who was playing on either team. You weren't thinking, oh, I've got like a Smurf. There's a Smurf on this team.
Yeah.
Oh, my bot lane's off roll. Or I'm going to get outscaled or whatever. You were just present. You were just playing. You probably didn't even check the OPGG. That's why I don't recommend checking OPGG.
I hate OPGG. What's that one that checks all the teammates?
I don't know.
Before champs
Is that Blitz GG?
I don't know. Yeah.
I just don't like it unless you're already incredibly mentally strong and that doesn't affect you, which I think just that's bullshit. It affects most people.
Yeah.
For me, it even affects me. I would say I'm quite... Even now, I'm still good at it. I'm not being affected, but it still does affect me in a little way. And if it affects you in a little way, everything you've heard from our content is that the small details add up. You lose concentration or you don't get pressure on a wave that you should have been able to get pressure on. They go to the scuttle first. They win that 2v2 skirmish.
Right.
Your jungler gets double scuttled.
Different game.
Done. Completely different game. You have to be obsessed with the details. Now, one last thing before we get into the questions. I know we spoke about lists a lot, but I do want to riff on this. Is League of Legends is a confidence game. All right?
Yep.
It's a confidence game.
Yep.
The more confidence you have in yourself, the better you will play.
Even if it's confidence with not much to back it up.
Even if it's delusion.
And it's the opposite end. It's like you're overthinking. So let's say me when I'm not confident.
Right.
I'm overthinking things. I'm overemphasizing losses. I mean, again, I don't believe in losers queue, winners queue, but I'm thinking it's like, well, like I'm just expecting the next game just to be hard because all my other games are hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, geez, it's like, oh shit, here I go again. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So confidence.
League is a confidence game, dude. I mean, confidence massively affects.
Yeah.
Now,
when I'm playing really well, I'm like, I'm just gonna no matter what happens in the game, I'm just gonna win.
Yeah,
that's me just playing my best. Just at the end of the day, I just know they're gonna make mistakes. I'm like,
or like if you lose, you know that it's like you're still gonna play really well.
Yeah.
You know, is that feeling? I feel like that on Oriana most of my games. I feel like even if I lose,
there's a route to victory. Well, that's you need to build the confidence as well through knowing the route to victory.
So yeah, let's talk about that. How do you build confidence? How do you actually build confidence? And then this is kind of where like fun ties in, but we talk about fun. But
right, so like in the specific game or overall?
I think overall.
All right. Well,
as a player.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously, if you want to get really specific into league, you know, you could talk about things like champion mastery, you know, but overall, I'd say it's just understanding that I'm just going to work harder than the other person.
Right.
Like I just know that I'm going to be more mentally strong than everyone else in my games, and overall, over the long run, I'm going to climb.
You got to have that mentality, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, because it's not about this one game.
No, this one game literally doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
This one game, yes, I'm going to give it my best.
It matters, but it doesn't.
It matters, but it doesn't at the same time.
Yeah.
So you got to put it in context, right? It matters, but it doesn't. I think for me, self-talk is a big one. I had self-talk here on my notes because I see some shocking self-talk in my Discord, man.
Yeah, give us some examples.
Oh, just stuff like...
What channel is this? Like the general channel? Or?
Yeah, the general channel.
Okay.
Like, stuff like, you know, saying stuff like, I'm just... Like, things like, I'm just a molder. I am a molder.
Molder, yeah.
Or like, I'm just trash at the game. Or like, I'm just a coin flip player. Or like, you know, I always die to ganks. Just like, just stuff like that. It's just like, I am this. I am this. And you just...
It's at an identity level.
Yeah, it's at an identity level. You're talking about yourself at an identity level. It's not some games I die to ganks, or some games I tilt, or, you know, some games I die, whatever it is. It's, no, I am. No matter what, I am. And it just... So you may think this is absolute hogwash, but I just believe it, dude. Like, the way you talk about yourself is crucial. You think you hear world-class athletes say, oh yeah, I'm not that good at football, or like after a game, they'll say, okay, I missed that shot. I'm disappointed.
Or I lost. He was the better person on this day, but I'm going back to work.
Yeah, he was the better person on this day, but I'm going back to work. Recognizing that, yes, they may, and that ties back into the respect element. It's okay that someone's better than you in that game. Yes, they may have beat you in that game. So it's like, it's not the end of the world.
Now that I think about it, I've never heard that before by anyone.
Yeah.
It's like, they're so shit. Like, they're like
it's
messing
either
up.
They're so shit,
It's
or like...
Or then it's like, I'm so shit.
It's either, they're so shit, or I'm so shit.
Yeah.
Or like, their jungle's better, or some shit. Yeah, there's never, oh, props to him. Well played, dude.
Yeah. Everyone's ego's just through the roof.
Everyone's egos is absolutely through. There's so much
No one can
insecurity
control
because there's no confidence.
Yeah.
There's no genuine confidence.
Yeah.
How many people are genuinely confident
Who play League.
who play League?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's very high.
Very, very few, dude.
Based on the chat in all my games, I'd say it's very non-existent.
But I believe you can build confidence through League in the correct way. You don't do it by putting others down. You put it by building yourself up. And, okay, if I'm building myself up a little bit, I can build up the person next to me as well. What's the harm in that? It's like, it's that mindset where it's like, life's good. rather than life's just shit. You could have that mentality. It's a positive mentality to approach to life. But I mean, anyway, I just think that this self-talk thing is a problem. And if you find yourself saying things like this, whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is, even if it's small, it adds up over time. And I just think that you got to really start to become aware of it and just be like, all right, I'm not where I want to be right now. That's okay. I'm taking the steps. I'm getting into the review. I'm trying to figure this out. I've got people around me that are also trying to improve. Great. Let's get into the review. There's no point bitching about it. Done. So league is a confidence game. And if you find yourself not being confident, so you're just not confident in your gameplay, that sort of thing, that a lot of the time then you might need to just, that's where accepting reality comes into play and just accepting you're not at the level you want to be. You're not at the level that you want to be. You're not at the level that you thought you were. And that's completely fine.
And don't try and find a reason for it, because that's the thing that people try and find a reason to make them like feel better. It's like, no, it's like, well, like cool. I got to accept reality. Okay, cool. What's next steps?
Exactly. This is where I am. This is my level of play. What are the next steps? How can I improve this champion? Okay, let's get into the review. Let's watch other people play this matchup. What jungle parts do these people do? How do they play skirmishes on this champion? What sort of bases do they take? Do they stay in lane for this amount of gold? Do they stay in lane? What sort of trades do they take in these sorts of matchups? Get very, very specific. Get into the details. Again, then you're going to distract yourself from thinking about all that bullshit again and again and again. So I think we've kind of spoke a lot here. Do you want to...
let's do question time. Question and A. So let's do a quick break.
Okay.
And we'll jump in questions. We're going to do 4 questions.
Okay.
And we will do that after this very short... There's no break for them. I know what I'm saying, that we're taking a break because I literally just need to walk up and change the camera. But all right, be right back. All right, so first question here comes from Heyl.
Oh, it's Heyl.
Oh, you know Heyl?
Yeah, he's a kangaroo tier guy.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, thanks for supporting Curtis.
Heyl is a beast.
Through Curtis' Patreon.
He's a Rise player.
Well, Heyl, the Rise player, wants to know about your tattoo. What's the story behind it?
So, I mean...
You want to show the camera?
It's just the one. This one here. I'll talk about this one.
Okay.
It's on my... I can't really see it. Oh, God, it's like in such an awkward spot. That tattoo is Lucifer, and the reason I got that tattoo is to remind myself of my demons that I battle with and the person that I don't want to be. I wasn't always the Curtis that you're seeing today here. Like we all evolve. This
is not a polished version, but it's a lot more polished than what it was a couple of years ago.
Exactly. I mean, we all do, right? We all make mistakes and we all do evolve and mature. And what this was to me was, okay, there's a version of Curtis that I don't like. Whether that version of Curtis is lazy, that version of Curtis procrastinates, makes bad quality decisions, hangs out with the wrong people, maybe drinks too much, whatever it is. Like, this is a version of Curtis that I don't like. Now, when I got this tattoo, I wanted to remind myself, okay, to be the version of Curtis that I want to be. And this reminds me of, okay, I'm not, just because it's like, I'm kind of moving past it, doesn't mean it's just gone. Like, it can easily come back.
You're never complacent.
Yeah, I'm trying to never be complacent in a way. And it's like, this is just a reminder that there's a side of me that exists. My dark side, my demon that always lives with me. And I just got to stay on top of it. And to be more specific, like, there was a depression. I kind of struggled with that when I was growing up. So that was another element of the Curtis that I didn't like. There's things like that I just deal with. And I got to stay on top of it and, just be aware of it. And it's just a good reminder for myself to always strive to be the person I want to be, essentially. Yep.
All right, next question here is from Heyl. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Oh, yeah, he's another guy from my kangaroo tier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. You got Curtis's Patreon supporters in full force. That's the word. So he said he actually recently talked to you about his opinion on Korean boot camps.
Okay.
You explained to him that boot camps in Korea could take him to another level.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder why he wants to know why the level of play is so high in those countries. Is there a difference in culture, mentality, or something else? And then he says, and on the other hand, so he's from OS. Why is the level in OS not so high internationally? Why can't any OS team do very well in international competitions? So I guess we can talk about, and we've sort of talked about this in other podcasts, right? I mean, I recommend for the second.
I don't think he's from OS.
Oh, he's not. Okay.
No, he's definitely not from OS.
All right. Well,
he's basically asking why. Okay, let's first talk about what you get out of a Korean bootcamp.
Yeah. Or why go? When do you know when it's the right time to go for a Korean bootcamp? So I mean, obviously he has intention to be a pro player, right? That's you would never do a Korean bootcamp if you weren't intentionally.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I think this was a while ago. This wasn't recently.
Okay.
So I can't remember off the top of my head, but well, generally you want to be going to Korea if you want to seriously pursue a career, whether it's semi-pro, collegiate, amateur, whatever it is. And let's talk about the reason why. Now, what's your experiences with Korean SoloQ? Why do you think it's good?
Well, going back to when, it's like, I'd say you already challenger on your respective server.
You should be a very high elo on your server already,
yeah.
I think. It's not to say you won't get value, obviously, going to a Korean bootcamp, but if you're not like already pretty high elo on your own server, at least Grandmaster, I would say, then it feels...
You still got work to do.
You still got a lot of work to do on your own server. But it definitely can speed up the process.
Okay.
It definitely can, but it's not something I would overly... It's like not essential by any means. But let's just say you are. Let's just say you are a Grandmaster player, right?
Okay.
And let's just say you wanted to go to a Korean bootcamp. For me, why I think... Okay, there's a few factors why it's, first of all, a great practice environment.
So, I mean, you just riff off some things here.
The speed of the queues. The how aggressive they all are from level 1. Like, it's just fast-paced games.
The infrastructure, the teams, Korea just picked up leagues so quickly because of StarCraft. They have a pro gaming culture. Yes. It's like, it's actually accepted to be a pro gamer in Korea.
Yes. Or there was like I saw some stat about the percentage of people in Korea South Korea that play League versus in America. America they have basically the same player base or something, but
literally
the percentage of people in America
divided by 10 population.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I was saying was the main reason I think at Korea what you learn is skirmishing, because the game at the highest level is skirmishing. Like laning, yes, obviously is important and a massive part of the game and always will be, but skirmishing is like the difference between a lot of the best players. It's like these scrappy skirmishes and game sense and like adapting to game pace and just like all these are very advanced things. But the great thing about Korea is that every game is skirmish heavy. Every game there's like a crazy scuttle skirmish or like a level 1 fight or like team fights way earlier on. It's very fast. And that actually allows you to learn and improve and refine your micro and your skirmishing much better. Because the way Korea Challenger works as well is that there's a barrier to entry. You got to have a certain standard of micro mechanics to just even get there. It doesn't matter how smart you are about the game. You got to be at a certain level micro-wise to get in. So like you get punished for having bad mechanics. You get punished for having poor micro because you'll just get destroyed in skirmishes.
Even if someone is just a little less smarter than you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It's about how good your micro is. So you learn micro mechanics much better because it's like instant feedback. It's like I just lost this because they just tethered me better or hit more skill shots than me, and I just couldn't process enough information in the skirmish. So I'd say that's a big one. But that also stems from their culture. It's like elitist. They're very elitist in everything they do. I would say in South Korea.
You've got to be the best.
Well, because the way that works as well is because it's very dense populations, and there's the way I don't know how accurate this is, but my take on it is that like there's a lot of people trying to get into few positions. So there's a big pay gap. There's like wealthy, and then there's like a lot of poor people. So you're taught from a young age, like you got to like try super, super hard. And also we've met a few Korean people, and the way they say about Korean culture is that they actually don't have a lot of farmland and things like that. They actually don't have many minerals. And so their country, they're reliant on exports and technology.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, South Korea, they had to really focus on education because They had to be smart and to figure out technology wise to make money in their country, because they can't, like Australia, we have like a lot of iron ore and a lot of like minerals. They don't have that luxury. They're very actually mineral poor country, so they can't export many materials. So they had to have a focus on education, and then it become hyper competitive, capitalistic, and then that flow on effect, I think, to everything they do. Even like their food, there's no shit food. Like all the standard of like everything is just much higher over there. I mean, again, people maybe watching this kid is just so completely wrong. And
you're not Korean, you don't know.
I'm not Korean, I don't know shit, but this is what I've heard.
It makes
sense.
Another thing as well is it goes into, it's sort of, it's like a social event to game, like PC bangs.
Yeah,
it's like an outing to go. It's like you go for your friends.
We go with your friends, yeah,
to go play games, and then after you go out drinks and do karaoke.
It's so cool,
you know what I mean? Like but we just don't have that.
It's so nerdy still, even in like Western countries.
And we probably have how many internet cafes in Melbourne? Probably like
it's like
5. You know,
it's like 5, yeah.
But they have 5 in like literally probably
like 2 blocks.
Literally 2 blocks. You know,
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
So
the amount of people that play games, and it's just
you
culturally accepted.
just grow up, playing games. It's just
plus the elitist culture, plus everything that ties into the short queue times, plus everyone wants to get in and out. Also, because they need to study, young kids, and they don't have much time, they want to get the bang for the buck of the PC bang as well. They don't want to waste money. It's like, okay, if I'm going here for like an hour or 2 hours, I only have $5. I want to make sure that I'm getting as many games in as possible.
15 FF.
Yeah, 15 FF, bang. Fast pace. So yeah, I mean, if that interests you, then go for it, man. And
regarding O's level of play, I don't think I recommend you just watch Heyl, I think it was episode 8, talking about OPL dissolution. Right?
Yeah, we go pretty ham on that, right?
Yeah. So we talk about, the struggles of OS and stuff like that in that podcast. So we won't answer that here. Yeah. Just keep powering through it.
Yep. What questions we got next?
Next one here is from... Cade.
Hi, Cade.
So Cade says, first off, I'd like to thank you for providing very good information. And Curtis for helping him understand Laney's perspective. He's a jungle main.
Oh, cool.
I think he must watch my content.
Yep.
He's 19 and started playing about 6 months ago casually, playing norms, but recently playing ranked. He's playing Lilia most of the time with a mixture of Kane and Olaf in there. And he says he's hard stuck bronze. The word hard stuck.
Yeah.
Already some things we need to work on there, Cade. And I was wondering if there's any way I can progress further, as I feel like I do have misplays, but my laners are incompetent. Any tips? So
well, that's an invisible narrative that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
That my laners are bad.
Yeah. Just mine.
Not theirs.
Just mine.
Even though
we're in the same elo.
Even though, so for some reason, Right's targeting you and giving you bad laners, not the enemy jungler, only you. So that's an invisible narrative. That is complete hogwash, Cade, that you need to get rid of.
All right, so tips. First thing, as a jungler, your early clear. Go onto YouTube right now. There is videos. Literally just find the fastest early clear, or even just go to Domisum replay. And literally just type in Korean challenger. I always go Korea instantly first because I just trust Korean players. Watch some clears of Lilia, making sure that your clear is very good. Second thing, the first Rift Scuttler. Are you going to concede it or are you not going to? That's going to depend on... this is as Lilia, because Lilia, you're pretty weak. Like if you're versing Warwick's such a low elo popular champion, that sort of stuff, right? He's much stronger than you. Always be checking where the enemy jungler started. I mean, I've got a lot, like watch my your first jungle clear. You probably already do, but you need to know where they start. So you can do this by basically seeing who leashes, which is, watching the enemy either top or bot, how late they come to lane and whether they're missing mana or not. And usually bronze, it's always the bot side. Everyone gets leashed from bot side. Everyone's just addicted to it, okay? Well. So if you're also going bot, because that's what I find in low elo, they're always matching on the top grab, always.
Also, I mean, I don't really coach bronze people, so I don't really know what to say to specifically, but my hunch as well is just like, I want you to really, I mean, you've probably checked out my micro video. You should probably take a look at that video on my channel just to keep in your, keep your micro in check. But also just like, I like to think of just basic champ identity. Like, how does Lilia want to play fights?
Yeah, I
What sort of fights does Lilia
Lilia's
want?
an in and out, so Lilia.
Non-committal,
Lilia's
in a
a
way.
fisherman. So this is the way you describe Lilia. Okay, you're literally looking to go through lane, throw down your E, get that ult off. Bam,
Yeah.
you got an engaged fight.
Yeah.
You're like cooking. You're thinking of yourself as a fisherman.
So it's like I just like to. I mean, if I were to as well, like if I were to go back in time, let's just say I was to like restart playing League again. I was only been playing for 6 months. If I had the ability to look at replays, which we didn't really have at all, I would like see someone play my champ, like go to a fight and just be like, how are they fighting? Like, how are they using their abilities? Are they like how are they positioning? Just try and like vaguely look at how they're playing fights, like, and try and tie that back. You know, what sort of fights does this champion want? How do I want to play fights? Which abilities do I want to hold? You know, that sort of thing. Just like very, very basic champ identity level stuff.
And talking about your laners being incompetent, you're not focusing on your laners at all. I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is you're very incompetent right now. So help
And that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah,
It makes sense.
That's what we've talked about.
It's what we spoke about
You've
this
played the game
episode.
for 6 months. You're not hard stuck either.
You're not hard stuck. You've been there for 6 months. Dude.
You're just early in the process right now.
And there's no such thing as hard stuck, by the way.
There's just flat out isn't.
No, hard stuck. You know what hard stuck means?
What
If
does
you
it
wanna
mean?
dissect hard
What does
stuck,
it mean when someone says that?
hard stuck means that they're doing the same thing and to get the same results.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Because the way it works is if you're doing the same thing, obviously you're going to get the same results. If anything, you're going to get worse because the level of play increases all the time because of how many resources you got people watching me and Nathan's content, right? So it's literally impossible to be hard stuck if you are doing something different. You're either going to get worse and go lower, or you're going to get higher. You're not going to stay the same. So if I hear someone say they're hard stuck, it either says to me that they're not playing enough games and they're literally just like playing for fun.
That's the other thing as well. How many games are you playing, man? You know, if you're bronze and you're playing like 5 games a month, you're not going to be getting improvement. You know, it makes sense.
And then, or they literally just never review.
Yep.
And they do the exact same thing.
Yep.
Or again, they'd have 0 champ mastery, so they play like a trillion champions, so they can never actually get better at the game. That's all it is. That's what hard stuck is. They're just doing the same shit.
All right.
So we got here.
Next question is from Josh. Hey guys, I found recently both of your content and I resonated with your coaching style more than I ever have with League. I was wondering, what are your thoughts about an older player, 25 plus, starting to understand the game properly from a micro perspective while already having the champ knowledge? Is going pro a realistic goal, or would content creation be a more suitable goal for a career around the game, considering the inherent use of the word ageism?
Ageism, interesting.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh, for writing this one in.
Yeah.
Well, on what my thoughts are about an older player starting to understand the game properly. I mean, I think it's impossible to go pro.
As a 25-year-old? Yeah.
Literally impossible.
Okay. Why is that?
Because no team will pick you up at that age.
Okay.
Because they want a long-term investment.
Yeah.
Because the way it nowadays work is that you either tick one or two boxes. You're either an older player, like our age, that is a veteran and you've been playing for a long time, and you actually feel the weaknesses of the rookie players who have the micro but don't have the game knowledge, or you or again, so that's one reason. But the main reason as well is, again, like they want a long-term investment. They're going to pick you up. They want to, you don't have many years left in you because it's just the way it works. There's a micro element of the game. So
you're definitely always going to be less attractive than an 18-year-old challenger player. Even if you make it to the top of the ladder, you're always going to be less attractive to an 18-year-old.
Yeah. So I would say easily, content creation, if there was I would 100% recommend going to content creation over that.
You know what the way I always think about? It's like, I guess 25. I guess it depends how long you've been playing the game for, what current ELO you are. Because it's like, why can't there just be a first, like, 23, 24, 25-year-old that literally just gets into pro? Why can't there just be like?
No. If this guy was already like top 10 challenger, then it's possible.
Absolutely, that's right. Yeah.
But I'm assuming this guy.
If you're just starting your journey, it's going to take you 3 years to get to challenger. We're thinking about.
Even if it were to take a year, you're just going to get to challenge. It's not like you're going to get top 10 the first season. Like, by the time you get to a point in which you're literally getting looked at, because again, the chances you're going to go straight into pro as well. Like, you're probably going to go to like another, you might go to academy or you might go to like whatever it is. It's unlikely you're going to go straight to pro. If you go straight to pro, you must be like really good.
Yeah.
Like really, really good.
Well, that's what I say. That's the way you want to be getting picked up. It's like when you're already really
But no
good.
one, that basically never happens nowadays.
No.
I don't think that's even going to happen again, by the way. I think that route is like nearly gone.
Well, no, I don't think that at all.
Really?
I think that you sign players. I talked about this. We talked about this in the NO one. That's my
but you don't go straight from
you
zero solo queue to playing on stage in like a month.
But it's pretty close on some players. It's like academy. You're in academy for months. Like
you can be in academy for months. You still have to go through that process.
That's right.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. Okay. I mean, yes, if you're not already challenger, then yes, it's impossible. Yeah. But if you're already like challenger, then it's kind of possible. But it's, again, really unlikely. I think rather than going for pro, though, I would it'd probably be safer overall and just better to do content creation, even if you are a challenger, because, again, if you are a challenger player, you probably have something, you definitely have something to offer. But again, if we would offer advice in content creation, I would say find your niche. Don't do something that everyone else is already doing. Find your niche.
And what's everyone doing in League at the moment, Curtis?
Clickbait. Highlights. Don't do clickbait highlights.
Playing fun champion smurfing.
Don't do any of that. Find something that both you enjoy doing that is very hasn't been done before. Yes, it's gonna have to require a lot of creativity, but we're in now again. Esports is getting massive. Gaming is getting massive. Everyone wants to be a content creator.
It's everyone's dream.
It's very hard. You got to find your niche, and that was pretty much it, right? Considering ageism.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that if anything, it's even going to get lower, by the way, the age thing.
You think so?
Yeah, because...
It's like 15-year-olds. People want 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds.
Because the resources now a 14, 13-year-old kid has to learn the game is just ridiculous. Like, imagine like a 14, 15-year-old... We have them, like 14, 15-year-old kids who watch our content, who then literally get to watch our content and play a ridiculous amount of hours... By the time they even hit 17, 18.
They already have, like tens of thousands of games under their belt.
It's unbelievable. And then they're just 18.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're just starting.
There's no pressure for them financially.
Yeah.
They're supported by their parents. They can, that's so much easier.
That's the other thing. When you're starting at 25, you need to start getting your life together, you know?
Yeah, it's risky.
It's
very risky as a 25-year-old.
Because if you spend 3-4 years trying, it's like, well, now you're 29 and
you haven't got anything to show for it.
You know?
Yeah, it's hard. That's why you
versus like you're 18, you try a crack.
And you give up at 21,
22, 23.
It literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Go back to uni, it doesn't matter. Do something else. It wasn't meant to be negative, it's just realistic.
Yeah. All right, and that's pretty much it. I think that's all the questions we'll do today. So if you guys want to write in, we've sort of just randomly just done it. Just at the end, we just do some Q&A.
It's not Coach
Curtis. Gmail.com.
brokenbyconceptshow
at gmail.com. There's always a link in the YouTube, right?
Yeah,
in the description. All right, well, that wraps it up for episode 11. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment, like,
subscribe.
If you listen on Spotify or Apple, I don't think you can. You can follow us for notifications.
Still go to the YouTube and subscribe. Help a brother out.
That's right. Help a brother out. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Catch it.